It's Yemi Bakayoko. Oh, yo. Samina Mina. Edward Mende. Samina Mina Sam Sadakte. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
All right. So, boys, like I said last week, we're moving away from the picking a player for the episode. So, last week, we did our top 5 guilty pleasure songs, which we learned a lot about everybody on that pod. Today we're gonna take a hard left and get in some hard alcohol. Snake draft, cocktail beverages, and assorted other alcoholic beverages, apparently. Yeah, we'll do some snake order here. Anything taken off the board can't be retaken. Then we'll go Parker, Matt, me, and then bring it on back.
Sweet. Thanks, Collins. Boys, my first pick is not something I grew up on when I was in college, but it has become my absolute number one staple, and that's a vodka soda lime, specifically with key lime juice when I make it at the house. But it's vodka soda lime all day.
Solid pick. For me, not my number one, but it's something I definitely enjoy. So I think it's a very solid pick. My first one is kind of a given. It's going to be bourbon. There's really no way around that. Big fan of it. I love trying all the different styles and everything. Obviously, we drink a lot of it here on the pod. So yeah, that's a staple for me.
Man, that's like Michael Jordan falling to the Bulls right there. I'm surprised that went off the board second. Let's see. All right, so third overall pick. I gotta go with my staple. That's Bloody Mary. Extra spicy.
Oh. See, that's a sneaky good pick in the first round. It's sneaky good. I didn't even think of that, and as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, that's yeah.
You get them at Sobelman's here in Milwaukee with you get a whole meal as the as the attachment there. Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
The Wisconsin tradition too, man. I mean, Wisconsin does bloodies better than almost anywhere else.
So you can't forget the beer chaser too. That's key.
Quick side note: Nicole and I and Aiden went to DC last summer and went out for brunch up by the zoo there. And ordered bloodies. Nicole and I ordered bloodies. Aiden obviously didn't. Had no hot sauce. The rim wasn't salted. Like didn't have the chili salt. There was no what do you call the stuff you put in the sausage and the cheese and the
accoutrement.
Yeah, all that was in there was a stick of celery and a pickle. No beer chaser. We're like, what the hell is this? East Coast
tomato juice and vodka.
Yeah, that's all it was. Disgusting. All right, so back to me, second round. I got to go. It's not a favorite of mine, but it's one of my favorites to talk about. And you boys will know this from college. I'm going to go Riot Punch.
Oh.
Everclear and blue drink. Oh man. We had some wonderful blackout evenings drinking Riot Punch. And then you wake up with the stained blue teeth. Nothing better.
God. I would like to say I remember that, but no, I don't. Well done. So for my number 2, I'm gonna go with an old fashioned. Wisconsin staple, Friday night fish fry. Get an old fashioned to go with it. Perfect.
Are you
Are
a
you
brandy
making
or a
it
whiskey
just-
guy?
Excellent question. Whiskey. And I differ between sweet and sour. So it depends on my mood. Usually I'm kind of that whiskey sour type individual, but I don't know. It's just something I always have to have. If I go out for a fish fry, it's gonna be that.
Sweet. For my number 2, I'm going with the Captain and Coke. Captain and Coke, another just absolute staple. I feel like most people, will drink it, like it, love it. Some people, it's all they drink. Shout out to Eddie from Oshkosh Volleyball. Just a great classic drink. And then for my quick bring it back number 3 pick, I'm gonna say, and this is like very, very situational for me, but when you're on vacation, especially at like an all-inclusive your poolside, give me a frozen daiquiri.
I don't even know the last time I had a frozen daiquiri, but they are delicious.
I don't think I've ever had a daiquiri.
I had one literally when I was in the Dominican earlier this year, and one turns into like 5 or 6 pretty quick. And you're just like, daiquiris, you just got to keep them coming. Weather's nice, frozen drink, just it's a great time.
It's a great pick. It's a great pick. I don't hate it. I personally have never had one. I've never been really much of a frozen drink guy myself, but I definitely respect the level that it plays at. All right. So my 3rd pick. So for me, I have to go with a family staple, which is a brandy Manhattan. It is something that's on hand at every family function, like clockwork. So I have to go with it. Very, very good, and actually really cheap. If you think about it, you get cheap brandy, cheap sweet vermouth, and call her good.
That's another one I don't think I've had. I need to drink with your family more often. Get Mike over here. All right, my 3rd round pick. Oh man, you guys took a lot of good ones off the board here. So I'm gonna have to go back to college again. Caribou Lou, Tech 9, 151 rum, pineapple juice, Malibu, Caribou. Get them all numb.
I can't remember the last time I had that.
I think Riot Punch was involved that night too.
There's one other. God, now I'm trying to remember. We had one other thing that evening. It was Riot Punch, Caribou Lou, and something else.
It was a very bad beer.
Super shot.
Red Dog.
Red Dog.
Ugh.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm not picking Red Dog for my 4th round pick. Let's see. Ooh, 4th rounder. You know what? I gotta stick with a theme here. I'm sticking college. 4 Locos.
Oh no.
The original blend that could kill you. Oh, that stuff fucks you up real quick. Big fan. Drank it at your wedding, Matt, actually.
You had a 4 Loko at my wedding?
Yeah.
We all did.
Was I included in that or no?
No, I think you were too busy getting married. This may have been pre or post ceremony. I don't remember.
It was it was post ceremony in your backyard.
Oh, very nice. Well done. Well done, boys.
Yep.
So for my number 4, I want to be very clear on this one. It is a Tanqueray and tonic. Again, family staple. Collins, you can look it up before you spell it. Yeah. Perfect. Tanqueray and tonic.
Nice.
My family is very clear on it's not a gin and tonic, it's a Tanqueray and tonic. So that's gonna be number 4 for me.
A T&T, as they call it. So I have to find a way to take beer off the table. I don't know if I'm allowed to just take beer. So I'll just say my favorite craft beer at the time. I like trying all different varieties of craft beer, but then there's always like the one or two you kind of always go back to. And being in Minnesota, Castle Danger is a pretty big brewery around us. So I'm going to say Castle Danger Cream Ale.
Ooh.
I'm gonna executive decision take beer off the board then. We could do a whole nother draft on, on
Types of beer.
Oh yeah.
That's fair.
We could split between domestic and craft.
Oh, shut up.
Craft beer. You can say craft beer. If Matt wants to draft Miller Lite or Busch
lattes.
Let him have
church
it.
it up, son.
And then for my final one, I'll go fancy drink that I don't ever make here, but I will order when I'm out, and that's a Negroni, another gin drink. It's a fun, like when you're out at a nicer restaurant, kind of a drink to get with people who actually know how to make drinks and have the stuff on hand to make it fun. So I like a good Negroni.
Shows how cultured I am, but what is a Negroni? Never even heard of it.
It's got gin, Campari, and I think vermouth.
Yeah, dry vermouth. Yep. All right, I will I'll go with one of the staples that I make at the house for my wife. I've heard great reviews. Granted, it's 1 out of 1, but I'll go with the dirty martini.
Solid.
It's quick and easy. Vodka, dry vermouth, a little bit of olive juice, throw some olives in there, call her good.
Oh man, the closing pick, the Tom Brady pick. Man, I wish I remembered more of college so I can stick with my theme here.
Sorry.
There's another Tech Nine song that we're missing. I can't remember what it is, but
KCT.
KCT. There you go.
I don't think we ever had that though.
Yeah, I can't even tell you what's in that. I don't know that song as well as Caribou Lou. Oof, boys. I'm at a loss here. Oh, nope. I got it. And this is the perfect one to round out this draft on this podcast. UV Cake Vodka. to fill the listener in here. We have and we do play a lot of FIFA. And obviously at one point we were very, very poor college students. So we go to the store, buy a handle of UV cake. Every time we'd score a goal, it would turn into every time we conceded a goal or every time the ball went out of play, or it was anytime we wanted drink. It was, everybody takes a pull of cake. So warm cake. So that's my number 5.
And those are 3 drastically different lists. I love it.
Yep.
And you know what? I think because I'm so sick of doing man of the match and man of get the fuck out of here polls. I'm sick of watching Chelsea. This is going to be our poll this week. Who won? Please go search us out on Twitter at FlagDownPod. I'll post the results of our draft there. Tell us who had the best draft, who came away the winner. Parker, Matt, Andy. Obviously, vote for the main host, the producer here with the college picks. But if you feel like voting for Parker or Matt, feel free to be fancy.
What do you mean? Aiden's not on the pod yet, right? He doesn't have Twitter.
Touche.
Collins, your list is like the I'm trying to get drunk in 17 seconds list. With Riot Punch, Caribou Lou, Four Loko, and Cake vodka.
And then a Bloody Mary the next morning just to hop back on.
So I've got the most potent of the list. I have the kings of the alcoholic beverages.
I'm surprised Red Bull vodka didn't get taken off the list.
Oh,
I'm thinking about it.
Just reminds me of that time the Oshkosh volleyball team ran the bar that one night, and all they made people was vodka Red Bulls. Good
It
times.
was a long night.
Yeah, great night. All right. Well, again, that concludes our draft for this week. Matt, appreciate you coming on to join us for this one, and we'll have to think of something better for next week.
Sounds good. Always glad to hang out with the boys for a little bit and just kind of shoot the shit. So no, it was perfect.
I do have one Chelsea question to ask you.
Yeah.
What did you think of Benny Chills' red card?
Can't remember if I actually saw it. That was in the second half, right?
Of the Madrid game.
Oh, Madrid. Okay. Oh, yeah. He had gone so far forward that it was always going to be a pain in the ass for him to get back.
That wasn't his guy, though.
No, it wasn't. But like you look at, sad to say, you look at who's in our defense, and it's either really high or really low. And it just so happened that this was not. We're not a team that absorbs pressure well, and to have. I do have Chelsea stuff to talk about today. Now I think about it. When you have Reece James half-assing it on the other side, you got Chilwell, who the last couple of weeks has been Mr. I'm gonna do it myself. Like that shit's gonna happen, especially with a shaky back three, or no, was it back two that game? Back four, yeah. I don't know. It was just one of those things where it's like looking back on it, like, yeah, that was probably bound to happen. I appreciated though his apology to Chelsea fans on Twitter the next day. And we see so many of these guys talk about like, oh, well, we'll try harder next game. Just wasn't our day. Like, sorry to the fans. But like this apology from Chills felt genuine. Like he legitimately felt bad and took ownership of it. But he's not the one who needed to apologize for that game. He was one of the few busting his ass.
It was a back three in Madrid.
It was? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Silva, Koulibaly, and Fofana.
And that was Koulibaly had already been taken off, right? So it was Cucurella back there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Yeah. And Silva, I don't know if Silva was on the pitch at that point either. I don't remember. I can look it up quick. So Cucurella came on in the 55th. Chills got carded in the 59th, and then Silva got taken off in the 76th. So Silva was still on the pitch, but Cucurella was on for Koulibaly.
And like Cucurella as a center back, like, I know our depth is lacking, especially in the Champions League when you don't add Benoit to the roster, which again, like looking back on it, that's fine. Like we had other needs.
Like Noni Madueke, who doesn't play.
Parker, you're turning a nothing pod into like a 3-hour pod here. But like defensively, at that point, I know we're shaking a back four, but don't force the back five with Cucurella at center back against Real Madrid, like Benzema and Vinny and Rodrigo, and Modric is going to tear you up no matter who you are. Like, just, yeah, there's a lot. There was a lot in that.
Here's an interesting question for you, because This game is far more interesting to me than the Brighton game because I knew we were going to lose to Brighton, which is a statement I never thought I would make live in 2023, but it is, and I was right, which sucks even more. Madrid was interesting because I thought there was actually some stuff to talk about, even though I knew Madrid was likely going to win too, but it at least made for some decent, talking points. But in a combined 11, I don't know if I take any Chelsea player over a Madrid player. I don't know. I don't know where I would sub them off for us. Silva might be the only one.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
I
have a good feeling for Madrid's like midfield and their attack, but their defense I'm blanking on right now. All
right. So Camavinga played left back.
Yeah, I'd put Chills there.
And I mean, based on what I saw, Camavinga played far better, and maybe that's just because it was Madrid playing, and if you were to swap them, then Chills would have played better. But yeah, so Chills might have a leg up on Camavinga there. Alaba, center back, he played great. Out of the two center backs, he played better than Militao, and I wouldn't put Wes or Koulibaly in over Alaba, so it's Silva for me.
Yeah,
Silva can take over for Militao, but Carvajal, I mean, James over Carvajal is a debate.
I don't know if that's a debate because Real Madrid seem to think Reece James is better. Like there seems to be a lot of smoke around them being interested, and I understand people who say that Trent is the best right back in the Premier League, but it's Reece James. Not against Real Madrid in this match, like not at all. Not when Reece James is half-assing it. Right. But I think 99 games out of 100, Reece James is probably the best right back in the world.
In a back four? I'm asking. I don't know the answer to that. I'm because I know it's not his best position. And it could be.
I think
if he doesn't have
with the way that Madrid plays, possession based, I think he could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. The other so the midfield, Luka Modric.
Yep.
Toni Kroos.
Yeah, no one's beating him.
And Valverde.
No one's beating him.
Do you slot Enzo into that team? Like, I don't know.
I think Enzo would almost be like a Camavinga at that point, where he is playing almost a utility role coming off the bench or something. I think Enzo could make it into Madrid's team. He's there. You can't beat anyone. No, not a lot of players in the world are going to break that starting three.
And then it gets almost worse when you go forward. Like,
yeah,
Benzema and did Vinny play? I can't remember. Was his name spoken at all on the? Did you hear his name? I can't remember.
I don't. If I say something, we're gonna get canceled. So,
cheers. Man, that was annoying. But with Rodrigo played pretty lights out too. So,
and that's the only other position I think where, if this isn't the Chelsea of this season, maybe someone fits in for Rodrigo because he's in and out of that lineup at Madrid. He has talent. I think he's going to be something special once he hits his prime. But man,
you could play Tchemi there if you would like.
Oh God.
If you don't want Rodrigo, you could take the guy off the bench for Madrid.
Here's the thing: I know he's not here anymore, or he's not with Madrid anymore. But I'd take Luka Jovic over any of our number 9, or out of any of our strikers. He was their 3rd or 4th string before leaving for, I think, Fiorentina. yeah, that like the attack is just such a no-brainer.
It's so stupid. Oh, and we didn't talk about goalie, but I don't think after seeing Courtois save, that was a save that not many goalies in the world make.
I think Courtois gets a bad rap. If we were not Chelsea fans, if we did not support Chelsea, we would probably say Thibaut Courtois is one of the best in the world.
He is.
But because he's a snake, like, he gets knocked down a few pegs. No way Mendy or Kepa is beating out Thibaut Courtois.
He's a snake and like one of the top 2 keepers in the world any given year. Like you can make an argument for him. I think keepers obviously kind of go through form cycles, but he's always in the conversation. He's been in the conversation for top keeper in the world the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Like he's one of like 3. Like Alisson's in that conversation. Like who else? Not many.
Yeah, I think it's Ederson, Alisson, and Thibaut.
Yeah.
Manuel Neuer, maybe.
Yeah, he's floating around the conversation always.
Yeah. But man, just the amount of riches. And
De Gea every so often.
Yeah, maybe
not recently, but
once a quarter you throw him in there. But I wish I remembered the name of the book, but it's a history of Spanish soccer, and I read it one summer. And I don't follow La Liga a whole ton. Like I'm not big on the history. I don't really have a team in La Liga. But just hearing about the favoritism that Real Madrid got during those fascist years in Spain certainly set them up for success now. Obviously they were successful then as well. But it's a weird dynamic there in Spain where they are basically the Bayern, but they're not treated as one. Barcelona is by far treated as the Bayern Munich in that league.
Yep.
But yeah, I at times I envy what Madrid has and has had. But at the same time, would you want to go into a season every single season, and we're going to be biased coming off of this season, but would you want to go into a season every single season saying, all right, are we going to be first or second? Like really the only games that matter are going to be the Madrid derby and Barcelona
in Champions League, right?
Yeah, right.
No, I agree. I think the parity of the Premier League is why we're feeling what we feel right now, and it's only because you have stories that happen. Like you have more storylines in the Premier League, so it can look a lot of different ways any given season. It's not a given kind of going in. So I mean, Liverpool and Chelsea are having 2 of their worst seasons they've had in recent times. So I'd rather be us than them, and I'd rather cheer for us than them. But what I do envy is, people have made comments, and most recently it was like Tony Rudiger who said, going there and playing there, you can kind of feel a difference when you walk into the Bernabeu, and then sort of the competition to get into the club, it's just like that next level, it seems like. And we just went through that, right? We went through their 11 and their depth chart, and it just seems like it's harder to crack into their team at any given position, any given year, than it is to crack into ours or Cities or Liverpool's or United's or Tottenham's or anyone else's, Arsenal's. It's more competitive. They have deeper, better teams, and ironically, they don't need it. I feel like you need that in the Premier League, right?
See, and that was my whole argument. And looking back on now the season, it's kind of a defeated argument. But coming into the season, right, we've got Benny Chills. We go out and sign Cucurella, who is one of the probably one of the better left backs in the Premier League last year. And the argument was, well, how do you figure out how to manage those two? How do you play them? And I remember thinking, like, it's a good problem to have. You never see teams that have so much talent like that, struggle. Those teams typically do well.
Right.
So it's a good problem to have. It's one I wish we had.
What changes everything is if you win or not. Because when you have a winning team, then everyone's like fighting to get into a winning team, and it's positivity that breeds positivity on the training pitch. It breeds competition, and it's exciting, right? And then when you get your chance, you want to make good with your chance because oh, I need to secure my spot and this team that's competitive and it's hard to get into, it's hard to break into, right? But when you're losing, then everyone's like, I'm talented too. Why don't I get a shot? And then when they get it, then more ego kind of comes into it. Like, I'm better than him and he's playing and I'm not, we're losing. So why don't we change it? Right. Like, and then media gets on top of you too. And then it's a negative snowball. When you build a big team and that happens, it snowballs out of control. And then no one can reel it back in. And then when you change it, because you inevitably have to change it at some point, right? Then when you change it, then it's rust. I mean, we saw that with Zachariah this weekend, where it's complete rust and lack of familiarity with people. Mudryk, who was one of our most positive players, but also tries to do a lot with what he gets. And he kind of reminds me of Tiemi Bakayoko a little bit, where Bakayoko always wanted to make something happen whenever he got the ball. He always wanted to show what he was worth or show his value. And I feel like winning changes everything. Winning fixes everything. Winning, changes the mentality, changes the mood, changes how you approach games. And we haven't had that. So our experiment failed. But I don't think like the methodology of why we did it was wrong inherently.
Well, let me ask you this, because this seems to be a hot topic with only 8 games left in the season. João Felix, his loan is coming due. Apparently Atletico want 80 million pounds for him, something like that. Do you pull the trigger? You look at numbers wise, we have a lot of depth at forward, but is he a game changer enough to spend 80 million pounds on?
So I go really back and forth on Joao, and I don't know exactly how you feel about this. So I'm kind of curious to see what sticks with you and what you push back on. My quick answer is no. I'll lead with the lead. I don't think you spy him. Even though I want to, even though at times it feels like the right decision to make, I don't think it is, and I don't think he is enough of a game changer to spend the money on. I think he's really technical. I think he gets himself into a really good space. And I think in the right system or in the right circumstances, AKA not a year where we're historically horrible, I think he's a great piece to the team. I think like he passes my eye test 100%. Like he passes my eye test. He doesn't pass the statistics test of assists and goals, but nobody has. Like, so that's where it's like no one's scoring goals on our team, period. So I'm trying not to like critique it too hard, because no one is. Like we have all kinds of players and no one has any stats, but he passes my eye test of like he gets himself into really good positions. He hovers around the ball. He's that menacing, always kind of involved in the attack. He doesn't fall asleep in matches. I see him show up into where the action is, and he plays a lot of really creative balls. He seems to be the one person that can like unlock Kai Havertz's block and get him into better positions to score, but he doesn't. I think Joao has 7 or 8 assists that have gone unconverted from pretty easy goals. And like, do I judge that differently if they score those goals? Like, probably. Is that fair to him? No, it's really not. Like, so it's unfortunate, right? But I think we need to build around a core couple of players. And it's a really short list of players that I'm thinking that we need to like build around, and they're younger and they have a lot of talent. And I think a lot of players, we talk about this a lot of years, where it could be a pretty mass exodus. And I don't think we've seen the mass exodus that we've all sort of forecasted for the last 3 years. I think one has to happen soon, and it will. And we need to just pick the horses that we can sort of rebuild on, and Enzo comes to the top of my list, Chills comes to the top of my list, James comes to the top of my list. That's a pretty short list, but that's who you put your priority on, and then figure out steps along the way. Mudryk, Noni, and Kuku is coming in, right?
Yeah, and I think just putting this season aside, you look at who's going to be coming in as manager. I don't see where a João Felix fits in Luis Enrique's system. I don't see where João Felix necessarily fits under Nagelsmann. Last couple of days I've been doing some research on Nagelsmann, like the Nagelsmann's preferred lineups and who he's had play under him and all that. And I don't see a comp to João Felix either at Leipzig or at Bayern. I guess maybe Thomas Muller would be the closest one at Bayern, but he has underperformed at Bayern over the last couple of years. And granted, he's getting up there in age, so it's not a great comp. But yeah, I don't see where he fits. And I understand him passing the eye test. Watching him this week, he reminds me of a more technical Timo Werner, where he does the things you want him to do. Like, it all looks great, but he has no end product. And that's what we need. We have guys who have technical ability, but right now we just don't have that togetherness, that chemistry, any of that going forward. So it just looks terrible. And that's one of the last things I heard Ray Hudson say before I muted him in the Real Madrid match was, yeah, Chelsea get to the final third, but once they get there, no one trusts each other. So everything breaks down, everybody pulls back, and then nothing happens. And he's spot on with that. Yeah, but I couldn't listen to the Vinicius Jr. talk anymore. But then you watch the Brighton game, and yeah, I understand João unlocks Kai to an extent. But you look at the creativity in the limited amount of possession we had against Brighton. I thought we looked 10 times more creative than we have over the last several weeks with Mudryk, Pulisic, and
Raz.
Now, granted, you need a number 9 in there. This team is dying for a number 9. But to allow Mudryk to have space to do his own thing, to allow Pulisic, who's somebody who loves to run at you, to be able to do his thing. João doesn't fit that system. I think João, along with Kai, along with Raheem, limit our offensive capabilities. They're too slow. So no, I don't spend money on them.
I just, like, when I look at the team, and I don't know how you feel about Mount, but if we're talking about like wingers, like pseudo mid people who go forward, I guess. I mean, João is decent in that list in terms of like depth of who I trust. And so that's just where I kind of struggle, because like I would take him over Pulisic. I would take him over Sterling. I would take him over like Gallagher, but that's not really fair. I would take him over Havertz. Would I take him over Mount? I don't know. That's an interesting debate. But João Felix is 23. He feels like he should be like 26. Like when I look at him, I didn't realize he's only 23. So,
yeah, Atletico signed him when he was 19, coming out of Portugal.
And he feels like Mount, where he's been playing at a top flight for a while now, and so you judge him a little harsher because it's like, oh, he's getting older. It's like, well, it's actually just about to hit his prime age-wise. So he still has room to grow ahead of him. So I think if the price is right, and maybe that's a better game to play, where if we can get him for 50, I think that's, or a player swap with someone that we're going to be dumping anyway. If it's RLC and 20 or 30 or something, like that's easy. That's cake.
Cake. Well, let's turn to that here. How much does Chelsea need to make? No, not necessarily turn a profit. How much revenue needs to come in from player sales this summer, do you think?
Well, from everything I read, they posted a pretty hefty loss last year. Like calendar year 2022 was a pretty big, net operating loss. So a lot is the short answer. And if you sell academy products like Conor Gallagher or Mason Mount or RLC, I think, where you get pure money in, right? You're not writing off part of their contract or anything like that. So that's it. Very well could be a motivator. And we don't have European football, likely don't have European football to bring in revenue in calendar year 2023 and 24, which is a big deal. That's money against us. That's money we can't spend elsewhere. And those are big ticket paydays. We're not winning the FA Cup this year. We're not winning the League Cup this year. And we're not going to be in Europe next year. So it's I don't think fans think about it, and I don't think they should have to think about it. That's not the side of the game that we need to see and stuff. But I think we also need to understand some of the ramifications that come of it. But I'll leave you with this comment, which I thought was hilarious. It just said, like, maybe Todd and the Clear Lake crew don't care about financial fair play, and they'll just pay fines because other people that have been assessed fines, like, it's not sort of game breaking, and they'll be like, screw it, who cares?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. But to address the needs just in the starting 11, I mean, we're going to need, I would say, a keeper. I know we had our little debate about Kepa in the group chat. But I feel like a solid, consistent number one would be an upgrade, a big enough upgrade to be worth it. You need a number 6 to allow Enzo to go forward. And you need a number 9. So I think in terms of spending, I don't know, maybe we're spending 150 mil this summer, because you're also going to need a couple ancillary pieces too. But I think you're going to have to sell off maybe $250 million worth of players. And I don't know where that comes from. I guess my issue is I don't understand the logic in a lot of how we historically have done business. Now, we haven't seen Boley and company sell players. I mean, we saw Billy G go for a cheap price, but that seems to be justified now. But we go after young players, and it's the transfer fee is inflated, double. But we sell a player and it's under their evaluated fee. I would like to see Boley and company get at least market value for some of these guys. Mason Mount, $50 million at least, I would say. Ruben Loftus-Cheek can go for, I don't know, $15 million, something cheap. But just guys like that, just get market value for them and bring in worthwhile replacements.
But they're not going to, because everyone in the world knows that we're trying to offload. Like, it's not like we're trying to hold on to an asset. An asset has value when you want to keep it. When you want to sell an asset, it loses value. Like, the reason why those players all go for record transfer fees is because 7 clubs want them. It's not just Chelsea. It's not like we're in a bidding war against ourselves. We're competing against City and Bayern and Saudi Arabia and everyone else that's trying to buy these players, right? And everyone knows that you can buy Ruben Loftus-Cheek for cheap, and everyone knows you can get Christian Pulisic for undervalued, because we don't want him. We have no use for him on our team. Aubameyang, we might pay people to take him off of our balance sheet. It's also the most right I've been on this podcast is Aubameyang. by far. Most
Spoiler
runner by far.
alert, I already have that in next year's intro.
Perfect. But like Ziyech, he already has 1 foot out the door. We're not getting anything for him. DDF, David Fofana, he doesn't play, he doesn't feature. Like we've demonstrated we don't want these guys. I just don't think in a negotiating like standpoint, they'll call our bluff all day and like, oh, you have to pay big money for this guy. Really? And then that's where it breaks down. Like it's so easy. It's so like I think Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz are our 3 biggest assets to bring in big ticket valuations. Kepa, maybe.
I don't think Gallagher's going anywhere. He seems to be the new Mason Mount, where everybody loves him, at least off the bench, loves his energy. Kai, he must be doing something right in training, because I don't think he's going anywhere either. Mount is the one I think could go somewhere if these contract negotiations keep stalling. But I've got a list of 6 players that I think are for sure going this summer. Aubameyang, Ziyech, Mount, RLC, Trev, and Christian Pulisic. Is there anybody I'm missing there that for sure is going to be out the door? Oh, probably one of Kepa and or Mendy, right?
Yep.
Just for sake of argument, we'll throw both in there because there's so much smoke around other keepers coming in.
Yeah, and we'll leave this to just rostered Chelsea players, like not loans or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, so we got 8 players there. I've got what I think we probably get for them, and I'm curious whether you go higher or lower.
Okay.
On what we end up getting.
Okay.
Aubameyang, I've got going for, and I just use round numbers here. I'm not using 7.5 million. Like it's gonna be 10 mil. 10 mil is a round number. Less. Ziyech, 10 mil.
Less.
Trev, 15.
Less.
Mount, I already said 50 mil.
It's fair. I'll say more for that one. He's our one, like people could get into a bidding war on him.
RLC, 10 mil.
I'll go more.
Pulisic, 20 mil.
I hope more. God.
But
seems like so. I'll say more just because he's.
When I was putting it together, I was thinking 30. I was like, it's pretty clear that he's got 1 foot out the door.
That's one where it is like market value versus situational stuff. Like, I mean, I think he should be able to command more than 20 million.
All right, so then Kepa, 15.
More.
Mendy, 20.
Less. See, I think Kepa will command more than Mendy.
So based off of my valuations, that's $150 million. Now with your more or less, I kind of just went the next round number up or down.
How many more? How many? Like what? How many of
so
each do I have?
10 mil less is 5.
No, I just how many like pure numbers? How many do I have more, and how many do I have less?
You've got Mount, RLC, and Pulis. Well, you got 4 more.
4 and 4.
4 more, 4 less.
Okay. So it should be about the same then.
Yeah, yours coming out to 160.
Yeah.
So maybe this summer we come out even.
That's a tough like pill to swallow when you look at that list and you think 160 for all of that.
It is because at one point Pulisic could have gone for 40, 50. Mendy at his peak probably could have went 45. Ziyech at one point probably could have went 20. Aubameyang, had you played him at all this year, who knows, 15. Yeah, it's not great, but it's not our money to throw around. And I guess, yeah, like you said, it really depends on how much this organization values financial fair play.
And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But we're also looking at ways to generate more money in the future. Thinking of brand sponsorships, deals. You're seeing some of the effects. And I don't remember what technology company we just partnered with, but there was an announcement of a like integrated tech platform company that we signed on a long-term deal with. And so you can see some of the improvements that this regime is making over the prior regime, just in terms of bringing fans and the experience to more modern times. So if we build a stadium that has 20% more ticket revenue and some ultra exclusive luxury boxes that bring in big ticket people, your revenue goes up and your spending can go up. Like, it's really as easy as that. If you generate more money, you can spend more money. So I think they're trying to think through all the ways and all of the situations that can help drive traffic to the brand. So I think they're fine with it in the short term being a loss. It's similar to any startup. You start up a company, and then the first 2 years are in the negative. You might pay yourself a very small salary, if anything, and then you're hopeful you're profitable in year 3, 4, 5, and beyond.
Yeah, I think that's what we've seen out of Arsenal, right? They didn't spend for a long time after building the Emirates. But I think they're finally getting clear of that. I think Spurs are in a similar situation where they're maybe tempering their spending. But as soon as they kind of break even on that stadium, they're going to have some cash to spend.
Big time.
Yeah. So one other, I had one other question here, and then I got distracted by the Twitch chat. Oh, dude! First of all, amen for Hummel. 100% get rid of Nike and the garbage. More of this.
I like, and I've never been in Adidas, like in the Nike versus Adidas as a kid. I was team Nike 100% of the way. I wore nothing Adidas, and they are crushing it in the jersey game recently. And to me, it's just anyone but Nike. Like, Nike are just asleep at the wheel, and it's painfully obvious. I want Olive and York more than I want Nike.
Did you see the survey that was sent out to fans, Chelsea fans?
I got it.
Yeah, did you fill it out at all?
Sure did.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is not necessarily targeted at the kits or whatever, because they have the next like 3 years of kits already planned out. But dude, it's just another thing where it seems like the club is kind of grasping at like, what can we do to make you like us, right? And I know some people are concerned with, and we don't have the right perspective on this because we're not from London, we're not English, we don't have that perspective. But the survey seemed to have a lot of, what makes us great about being the pride of London. Like, that seems to be what they're really hammering home there.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I think, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on how you view sports teams. Winning is what makes people like you or hate you, right? You look at the Yankees or the Lakers. If they would put together a winning team on the pitch, just like they do with the women's team, they go out and spend, they go out and recruit quality players, young and veterans, and they go out and they win consistently. If we could get that would shut up so much of this fan base. because much of this fan base came in well after Roman had already taken over and spent cash and started winning. Not a lot of this fan base is accustomed to what we went through in the 80s and stuff like that, us included. We're not old enough to be a part of that generation, but
Yeah.
I like to think that you and I see the club a little bit differently than some of the people who have come in lately. So I think what would make the fan base happy is to win.
And that it was a phrase my dad always used, and it's winning fixes everything. It fixes all the problems. It glosses over all the issues, and quite frankly, nothing else matters if you're winning. And I know that that's not always sustainable, and it's not always 100% true, but I mean, yeah, we want to see our team win. We want to see our team not get laughed at. Like I was proud to go to London, and I was proud to go to matches, and I wore Chelsea gear in London, like in London City Center, and I got a lot of evil looks. I got a lot of people, saying "fuck Chelsea" to me and just stuff like that, which is all fine, and I don't mind it, but I wasn't the most prideful time for me to wear Chelsea gear, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like I was the most proud Chelsea fan on the planet because our team didn't have a product. And I had a couple people stop me in stores and whatnot. I'm like, what's going on with Chelsea this year? What's happening? What is Potter going to figure it out? Things like that. And like, I would sit and chat with these guys for a while, but I didn't have an answer for them, obviously. But yeah, you want a team that you can support, and you want a team that you're proud to rep, you're proud to defend, and proud to go watch, and you want people to be like, oh, that's awesome. It's a hard ticket to get, and you want to have more people wanting to go see the magic on the pitch, and not people be like, God, I don't know if I can justify buying a ticket because I don't like what I'm watching on TV. That's the hard part, is people are getting to the point we don't even want to fucking tune in and watch it on a Saturday morning. We don't want to. Like, it's not a fun product to watch right now. And paying money for it is even harder to do.
If I didn't have to come on here every Sunday and talk to you and Matt when he's on, I would have stopped watching a little while ago. And that's not to say, I'm a fair weather fan or anything like that, but we talked about this very early on today's pod, where it's almost a mental health thing. It's there's so much going on at this club, so much chaos, I would call it, where it's hard to keep it all straight. It's, you go on Chelsea Twitter, which props to you for getting Twitter off your phone. You go on there and it's just infighting, constant infighting, and it's just so much negativity. And yeah, maybe if we weren't doing this podcast, it'd be a thing where, I'll catch the game later in the day or something like that and not have to worry about it. But it's almost a stressful start to the weekend to watch them on a Saturday morning. And I don't know what the fix is.
The only fix is to try to not take it too seriously. Like, that's the only fix that I've found, where I'm not sitting, with my hands on my knees with bated breath, like hoping that we score to win the game. It's more like I've got my feet up, I've got a coffee made, and we watch the game, we see how people are playing, you make comments about it, but it's not too serious, and it's not going to ruin my weekend, and I'm not going to let it ruin my weekend if we lose at this stage. There's just, the stakes are too low, and we're not playing for much anymore anyway. So whether we win or lose, it's not going to impact our manager, because our manager is a temporary manager. It's not really going to impact the squad because we're going to appoint a new manager soon. Like, sort of is what it is, man. So I encourage you to not take it, or take it for what it is. That's a better way of saying it.
You're doing a much better job of just vibing than I said I was going to.
Hey, it's just vibes, baby. 2.0. I think that's what I named the Twitch stream today, is Vibes 2.0.
All right. Well, Parks, that's enough Chelsea talk for me. How about you? You got any closing thoughts? Oh, by the way, welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. We didn't do an intro today.
This is just a chatter pod now. It's just there's no structure anymore.
No, it's not worth it.
The pod comes back when the boys come back. When Reese James gives a shit.
Oh, that's what I want to talk to you about. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Nope, we're done.
Yep.
Bills are paid. Wrap her up.
First of all, shout out to Mr. Hawks 182 saying this is all just a long preseason for 2023-2024 season. I like that point of view. I think that's what I'm going to take going into the next couple matches. Then we'll get a manager, and then we'll have a system, and everything will be okay.
And we've got a core group of players that, you know, in the right system, they're very scary. They're very good, and they are elite footballers. So we aren't a team full of just scrubs. I know it looks like it sometimes, but we've got a lot of quality there. It's just some of the other pieces that need to come together.
Like Emma Hayes for manager.
I will salute to that. That's a great final statement.
All right. Well, I'm going to close it out here. Thank you so much to everybody who caught us on Twitch, including Mr. Hawks. Appreciate you jumping in the chat there. You can catch us most Sunday evenings, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's in the U.S. Just look for us at Flag Down Pod. We didn't get to our polls. That's all right. You can catch them after every match at Flag Down Pod on Twitter. Parker's done with Twitter. Matt's suspended from Twitter. I don't know. Follow me if you want. I'm at Comiskey North. But shoot us a follow for the podcast itself. Again, at Flag Down Pod. So, Parker, cheers to the Sunday scaries here.
In Emma Hayes, we trust, baby.